Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 420, and today we're doing battle with scouts. And so, exciting times, battle number 420 here. Miss Fortune ready to go down, guns blazing. We'll see what we can't fire up across the course of this video. Maybe have a wonderful time while we're at it. And so, it's nice to kind of come back for the milestone video and play scouts. If you haven't followed the channel historically, Scouts was one of the first decks that I really kind of attached myself to once we made that switch from playing Expedition over into playing Constructed. And so it's always had kind of a special place in my heart, and it's always been one of those decks that feels like it's probably just the best deck in the format, but it just doesn't get played for some reason, and so it's kind of fallen out of favor in that sense over the course of the past 2 or 3 sets. But I think this is one of these decks that is just kind of like Pirates, to where people get kind of tired of playing with it or against it, and then it just gets kind of forgotten about a little bit. But with that in mind, I think that this is one of the decks that has the real potential to be a big breakout superstar as we come up across the Runeterra Open, and so. The two big defining factors that I think that we're going to see at the Runeterra Open are the Mount Targon Fizz deck, which is just easily far and away the most popular deck running around right now. It's the best deck in the format, in my opinion, and I think that we're going to continue to see it in large numbers as we enter this event. I think it'll probably be in well over half of the lineups, and Scouts has a fantastic matchup there. What you kind of run into is the Fizz deck takes a while to ramp up, and they can't really stop you from just putting a bunch of units on the board, and so you're eventually just able to say, cool, I have 6 units, here's champion strength. And the Fizz deck doesn't have a ton of ways to really stop you from doing that. And so the Scouts deck is quite strong there, and it's also quite capable of just going murder mode on the new Sump Monument decks. And now, I know in the previous video we were getting pretty salty about the Sump Monuments deck. That was one of the least fun videos I've had to create in a long time, but I think that it has the potential to be that dumbass deck that always pops up, 2 days before a Runeterra Open. It gets way too much play, and it actually turns out to just be pure garbage. And I think that that's what we're going to run into with the Teemo versions of the Sump Monument deck. I think that there probably is a realistically obnoxious Sump Monument deck out there. I just think the Teemo deck isn't it. And so, in terms of it, I think we just have to change our strategy a little bit. You can't play decks that have burn in it, and you have to play decks that are capable of just dealing an absolute ton of damage. And that's, something that Scouts is quite capable of doing, right? And so the general game plan you have with this version of Scouts is we're just going to kind of come down, try and flood the board as hard as we can. We have the Marai Wardens, we have the Island Navigators, we have the Scrutinizing Sergeants, and we have the Quinn. All of these are cards that are capable of putting 2 units on the board, and then we're going to look to have just a very gigantic turn, either with a mini champion strength coming out of the Inspired Light, a mid-level champion strength coming out of the 4 Demacia from the Vanguard Sergeant, or the full-powered, high-powered champion strength coming out of the card champion strength itself. And so this has come to be, again, one of the decks that's quite strong against Fizz. It's quite strong against the Teemo deck, and I think it's something that has a lot of real power in these upcoming days. And so we'll see. I'm ready to give it a go. I worry a little bit about the strength of Miss Fortune in this format. There's, she really likes picking on 1 health units, and there's not a ton of 1 health units after your opponent has played Siren Song. But outside of that kind of Miss Fortune concept, I really like what's happening with Scouts, and that's what we're doing battle with today. And so 420, blaze it up, let's go, guns blazing. Jump on into battle. Good stuff. Good stuff. I was trying to remember what Battles with Bust number 420 in Expedition was. I think we had to play Kindred. And the Kindred deck was something that really just soured my soul. It was just so obnoxious in Expedition that I hated it so completely much. And I feel like that was what we had to play right when we came back. Maybe it was 419 when we played Kindred. It was either 419 or 420 when we had to actually make that Kindred game happen. But nonetheless, coming up against Lurk, I like having this early game interactivity with the Fleet Feather trackers, so we'll hang on to those, and then we'll see where we can go from there. We like to be able to challenge down the opposing Lurk units with these Fleet Feather trackers before the opponent can really pop off with their high attack power. And he missed? Oh, man. Nobody taught Father Mitch how to play Lurk. You're supposed to just blindly send your Lurk units out here and then just have them be successful, right? That's the way it's supposed to go. Heavy Metal comes in, that's fine. I'm not going to attack into the Xerxes Hatchling this turn. I would have been prepared if opponent had the, what do you call that? The fast attack dude, the quick attack dude, the one that comes down and just attacks. I would have been fine with blocking it with the Fleet Feather Tracker. But with opponent going 2 turns with no lurks, we should be pretty safe in the sense that we can now just like throw down some blockers. Right? We can get in front of this Xerxes Collar, and then next turn we can double hook with Misfortune into these 1 health units. Really try and take over the board from that point. So we'll send the block onto you. Feels good. Fleet Feather Tracker can come in. Shell Shocker can come in. And then Misfortune will join the party next turn. This is what you're wanting to get with Misfortunes, right? This is why I made that little comment right at the beginning, in the sense that, you know, once your opponent's played Siren Song, you don't get nearly as many Misfortune hooks. Like, this is the thing you're really looking to pop off with Misfortunes, being able to hook in these 1 health units and cause them a bit of problem. This is a fairly tempting block with Misfortune. I don't think we want to take it. But that's tempting. That's tempting. There's just not a lot of real removal spells in this deck. They typically only have access to like the 5-mana Lurk spell, and then if they've popped off with Pike. So she can't survive a Pike is why I was kind of interested in blocking with Misfortune, but it's ultimately probably pretty greedy to go that way. Got a little protection as well. He missed his Lurk again. Oh man, you gotta throw a little bit of Twisted Fate in front of that one. Learn to play Lurk, bro. Learn to play Lurk.
I've never met anyone like you.
Just whiffing on all of these. I don't know, man. This might be a lottery ticket day for Father Mitch. You gotta, you gotta say I wasted all my bad luck, and so let's have some good luck come in at some point. All right, nothing going right for Father Mitch this game. Feels good. I hate the Lurk deck so much. I don't hate it as much as the Sump Monument decks. I certainly don't hate it as much as the Samira, or not the Samira, the Seraphine decks, but I certainly don't like this stupid thing. Just get your lottery tickets out. Get them ready. Get ready to scratch it off. But should be in a pretty good spot here. If opponent adds a unit, ooh, that's not a unit you want to be adding. And say even with 2 blockers, we should still be able to get the 15 damage in. 5 plus 5 plus 5, that's 15. And then 1 from the Misfortune will get us to 16. All right. That's what you like to see against the Lurk deck, just whiffing on every flip of the coin. Oof. Good stuff. That'll get your spirits up. Playing against Sump Monument? Eh. Playing against Lurk when they just missed all their blind Lurks? Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what gets you feeling good. Dumbass deck. Oof. All right, into the next one though. What do we got here? The Evelyn deck. Sure, this one's a little bit more of a struggle. I'm trying to decide on how I want to really come in and finalize our approach to this event. The thing that we have with the single copy of Silence and Suppress, and what I'm kind of thinking of as we come up to the Runeterra Open, is I have no desire, no plan to ban out the Mount Targon Fizz deck, and so that's just going to get left up. So like that's a place where we plan to kill with the champion strengths, but having access to things like Silence Suppress is clearly good. But where I'm kind of going with this is I think the decks that we ultimately have to worry about are going to end up being things like Aatrox Kane and Aatrox Vayne, just the decks that have these really big equipment-heavy aspects to them, right? Things like Jax Ornn are very problematic, and having things like Silence and Suppress be in a place to where it can give us a ton of value in those matchups while still being incidentally good against all of the various Fizz decks and the like. It has me, pretty interested in including a few copies, and so I need a little bit more experience to know how much is too much, but it's certainly on my radar as to looking to include some of these in our decks for the event. All right, so Domination comes in. I'm not really planning on spending a Silence and Suppress unless he drops the Lifesteal unit. That's going to be our kind of premier target for this thing. But the question we're going to have now is, like, how deep do we want to get with this Quinn? And I think we could probably just go, full bore here. I think that we can just throw a block in front of the Domination because we need to fill out our board anyways. And then next turn we can add in Quinn and start getting these big scout attacks in as well. It's going to take him quite a bit of time to ramp up. So, like, if he plays Evelynn, kind of sucks, but if he tries to add in just a unit here, then we're going to be ready to pop off, both in terms of attacking around it for tempo and being ready with the Silence and Suppress. Sure. So we'll give up a little bit here. It's not that big of a deal to kind of toss our units away. We're going to be able to refill our board, and ideally, this game's just going to be over on the next attack token. And so, we are giving up a bit of card disadvantage here. That's okay. That's okay. I think our strategy is sound. There's the big spell. The Domination. Okay.
Stamp you out like the insect you are. Impress me.
So I think we want to add in Quinn. It's kind of tempting to just add the double Broadwing. We get both of the units on board and don't have to spend as much mana. Alright, I guess Quinn's still going to be pretty powerful next turn, and she kind of gets a shutdown on this smaller Domination. Like, I don't particularly care about blocking that much, but the opportunity is there.
Don't waste my time.
The interesting thing here with keeping this full mana bank is if we pick up a 1-drop, we can still play it and play Champion Strength. So it didn't turn up, but we still have our Silence and Suppress mana. If he gets that Lifesteal Bro on board, definitely drop a Silence on him. Play Zolani, drop a Silence on him. Easy peasy. Ooh, we're just dropping a bunch of Pale Cascades the Cloven way. Did not expect that guy to be coming in. So, like, we can still lethal through this. We're gonna have enough units survive. He has to block everything, and nothing he has can kill Quinn. And nothing he currently has can kill the Island Navigator. So, we should be fine after the first attack here. I was getting a little scared. I saw these big units come down and start hitting the board, and I was like, I don't know about this one, but we're fine. We even have the high-powered Champion Strength next turn. The Champion Strength does kind of double duty when your units have Scout, since as we go into the next turn, if we wanted the Champion Strength, you already just have a bunch of Scout units on board. So getting those extra attacks is kind of nice. All right, GG. On to the next one. Ooh, I must say, as salty as we were yesterday, I had big plans for the day. I donated blood, and when you donate blood, you have to go and you have to get some good food in you. After that, you have to go and get your eats on. And if you're not familiar with the Kansas City culinary scene, the thing that we're known for out here in Kansas City is barbecue. And so, if you ever see like one of the barbecue shows on TV, they always end up going to a place called Joe's Kansas City. It's in a gas station. And It's just incredible stuff. If you hear Anthony Bourdain talking about Kansas City barbecue, he always goes on about Joe's as well. And it's just all around absolutely fantastic. The way I describe it when people come in and say, hey, Bust, where do I go and get barbecue in Kansas City? I say, well, if you want the kind of experience, you go to Joe's. Like, you have to go and kind of stand in line outside for 45 minutes before you actually get in. Now, if it's between, like, July and August, fuck that. Like, yesterday, the heat index was, like, it was like 105, and I'm not standing outside in that. It's not worth it. But if you want the kind of like classic barbecue where you just get like a plate of meat and ribs and stuff, and then you have something like baked beans or coleslaw, you go to Joe's. But if you want the kind of foodier kind, if you're into that kind of thing, you want to go to a place called Q39. And so we went to Joe's. That was on the plan since I donated blood and I needed to refill my juices with meats and stuff. It was absolutely fantastic. Makes my day every time. So good. So that made me happier as well as we ran into the sadness of the sump monument with the burn deck. Having some of that barbecue really ups the ante on your day. That was good. The other thing I note is if you want to just get barbecue sauce, if you're scrolling through your recycling, I guess, if you're scrolling through your local barbecue section at the grocery store, I recommend Gates. Now, Gates is an odd one. You might want, if you want some of the like weird experience, then you can just go to Gates if you're in Kansas City. Like it's very odd. You should read up what you're going to get into before you go there, because it involves like a lot of them just yelling at you, and then not in the sense of I don't know, that dumbass seafood restaurant you can go to where the people try to make fun of you the whole time. Like, not yell at you like that, but
we tend to fire.
More so in the sense that they're just trying to push the line through, and it's their kind of attitude in the matter is very kind of rushy. But their barbecue sauce is the one that I recommend if you're just in the grocery store looking for a new snack. All right, into this game though here, Diani boy hasn't been doing too much. We took good control of the early game with our challengers. Now I'm getting a little preemptive on our unit boosting spell. We probably aren't going to play a unit before the combat starts this round, and so I wanted to kind of preemptively play that thing, whatever it was called, the Inspired Light. So here in this spot, I was looking to I didn't expect too big of things out of this Divine Clerk. That's that's okay to have it turn out in that way, where he spends the Blessing of Targon to gain a few points of health. He's not going to get the opportunity to play any more cards realistically this turn, and so we're still in a good spot. If he wants to drop more spells onto the Divine Clerk, we're ready with a Silence and Suppress. And then next turn, we're going to try and just drop in these Champion Strengths. A little bit of an awkward hand here with the second Champion Strength coming in. But hopefully it's enough for next turn. Ooh, is he just going to pass? Ooh, juicy. Nice. I didn't want to lose our Fleet Feather Tracker here. So let's get this going. We'll drop in the Champion Strength. Now this is kind of an interesting spot. The thing that we're kind of worried about here is if we can't actually finish off the game this turn. Right, so if we come in and start getting attacks and he has some kind of lifesteal thing with the Divine Clerk, we probably want to save this Silence and Suppress for next turn. Well, his Zolani has to be like a 4/4 right now, right? There's no way his Zolani is actually scary. Okay, I'm fine now. I think let's just send it.
Close your eyes.
You can't have, say, like a Hush onto the Fleet Feather Tracker here, but he's not going to have a way to gain health. Or gain a bunch of health, right? He's just gonna... he only had 4 mana, so he can't play a second Tellstones into +3/+3. All right. Good stuff against the old Evelyn decks. Had pretty handily dispatched it in these two games. Alright, and now the Fizz deck. Let's see, what do we got? Hang on to the Shell Shocker. Excuse me, look for some more early game stuff. It turned up. I appreciate that. The Inspired Light. I remember when this became a thing. Like, Mega Mogwai was the one that really got got the Inspired Light juices flowing, if you will, when he kind of figured out the Scouts deck with Zap Spray Fin and the Inspired Lights in it. Really kind of kicked them off to the next level. It's been a standard inclusion ever since, even without the Zap Spray Fins running around.
Nice to meet you. I'm Isla.
Ooh, we got our own Divine Clerk. say I can party too, my friend. So here, I don't think we really want to be trading anymore. If we picked up some bigger units, then, you know, sure. But we're just going to be building up towards this champion strength and this island navigator. And so the Durandi Sculptor was a great draw. I didn't really care what we picked up as long as it was a unit we could have put on board. Now I'm just going to look to go into this next turn. We'll play the Island Navigator. We'll get the double Inspired Light going and see what we can do from there. He's just in a spot to where he loses so much tempo if he wants to add a Siren Song to the board. Sure. Alright, let's get our stats. I got my my poor man's Siren Song ready to go. get our Inspired Lights out here on the board. That's what they call it, the poor man's Siren Song. It costs 2 mana less, right? So maybe that's all the poor man can afford. This is interesting. I'm curious if we want to save the mana for this form up, and then just play Inspired Light next turn. As we go into the next turn, we need to bank 2 mana, right? On turn 7, we are 100% going to play this Champion Strength. And so there's still a pretty decent chance we can draw a unit and get it on board. But with the way these combats line up, we're in the market for losing 2 of our units at this point, the Divine Clerk and the Mirai Warden. So I think we'll just go ahead and Inspired Light so they can win these combats. If they have to get in combat and lose to a Pale Cascade, fine. But let's see how good this looks now. This is just miserable for the opponent.
You cannot hold us down. You leave me no recourse.
Something the matter?
Saw the divergent landmarks, whatever that thing was called, come in. It's kind of an interesting spot for this deck because it actually does play a bunch of Reaver's Rose. So it's not like you're just playing the landmark thing for that one card. That has that additional usage for now being able to hit on all of the stupid Sump Monument decks.
Tide's coming in.
Alright, we should be in a pretty good spot this next turn though. Ready to drop our Champion Strength. Here it is. That's what you like to see. Feels pretty good, my dudes. Feels pretty good. Alright, GG. Where are we at? Only at the 24-minute mark. I've been a little disappointed over the past these few videos that since I guess Heart of the Huntress came out, like the format's always a little slower as the sets come out and people are getting used to the new decks and stuff, but I really like being able to get 8 games in these videos, and it's been, I don't think we've gone past 6 in at least a week, and so glad we're kind of breezing through these to get more action in. And so here we're up against Jax Ornn. This is not a good matchup. This is a deck that's very powerful against what we're doing. They're able to just, in large part, just ignore our game plan. And so this is one of the kind of big reasons that I'm interested in playing cards like Silence and Suppress. Is it, again, it's like, as we were playing some of those previous games against Fizz, being in that spot to where we're like, well, if we end up silencing off of Zolani, that's great, but it's not the matchup where we're super interested in it. And so it was very nice though, being in those spots to where, if he has the Divine Clerk, we're prepared for it. We have the Silence and Suppress, but this is the matchup to where I'm like, I really want access to Silence and Suppress because it's not good. And if he tries to, super unit up on this Sandstorm Amulet and we're able to pop it, that's just such a big deal in these matches. I'm interested. I really want to come in and try that one out. There's a few spots in here that are, kind of incidental. The lab secret in here is the Scrutinizing Sergeant. We haven't had any games yet today where we really want it, but it shines a little bit more when you're playing against when you're playing against stuff like the bigger control decks and getting the 2-for-1s out of it and potentially searching up the Misfortunes, but it's still okay. Now here, that's not a very big board to get impressed with. It's odd that he put the time and dedication onto the Weaponsmith's Apprentice. I'm fine to just come in and try and take it down, because as this game is going to progress, we'll just add a Fleet Feather Tracker this turn. Next turn we'll add Quinn, and then 2 turns from now we'll play Champion Strength. So we'll have this space for one spot on our board, and I don't think we're really gonna be interacted with or do any interacting on and so until that 2 turns away from comes around, and so it's going to be fine. But it's important to take this 3 bank now if we want to play Quinn next turn, because on turn 6 we need the 3 bank for Champion Strength, and so it's okay to play it a little bit slow there.
There are stories in the ringing of steel.
Alright, I'm going to add the Quinn. This is like the danger turn for us. I don't know how common it is to play Bellows Breath. We play Bellows Breath. I really advocate for Bellows Breath. It's a fantastically strong card. It would annihilate us here, right? There's no denying how fantastic Bellows Breath would be for the opponent in this spot. But our hand doesn't really do enough to play around it, I don't think, and so we'll let that go. Now with this, we can make a kind of smaller play if we want. We could look to, say, block this Hookmaster with Quinn. It's reasonable to think opponent will play like Ketch, or they might play Inner Beasts. They have a way to get +1 attack. They probably don't have a way to get +2 attack, but I think I'm more preferential into coming into this turn and then having just the giant Quinn with more health. Ain't nothing wrong with giant Quinn. Preemptive Catch, okay. Alright, battle time. So I want to take this one. I want our Quinn bird hooking in the 1 health unit. Our next bird, I don't want to lose the bird. I want to lose one of these dudes that doesn't have Challenger. And so we're going to take our attack like this. So if he puts his 5 attack unit down in front of the Mirai, Warden, or Bakai, they're just not as good as the Fleet Feather Tracker, right? And then it's going to be pretty challenging for him to have enough combat power from tricks to take down either a Misfortune or a Quinn. So they should be pretty safe. They're still strong, even if he has like a Harsh Winds, or if he has
Clumsy work.
Cultist Harsh Winds, whatever that one's called. Gruesome Iceberg, or whatever the fuck that thing is. Put that one in your notes, intern. That's a good name for you to use in the future. The Gruesome Iceberg. It's what you can use for Trundle Part 2. Comes at you like the Titanic, bro. The Gruesome Iceberg.
Take your time. Won't make a difference.
Oof. That's what old Cage Bunch is saying right now. He says, oh, fuck. The iceberg is flowing. Interesting. I mean, he could have +3/+4'd his Ruthless Raider and then put it in front of Misfortune. So now we just kill his whole team and then still get to attack again.
Bury me at sea.
Guess I'm the bait.
Mountain.
Looks like a pretty good board to me. GG. All right. Next battle.
We're safe. For now.
But see, as we're moving away from the conversation about the gruesome icebergs, I think that's a very interesting spot in terms of the silence and suppress and why I'm kind of interested in it. Right, it helps in the matchups we really worry about. Like, you know, if you're playing against Aatrox Vayne and they get down a Quinn Bird with a Challenger or with the quick attack Darken. Like, you just lose. You can't do anything about it. If they get down the 4/3 Scout and have a good equipment attached to it, you can't do anything about it. You just lose. Like, that's one of the matchups that is just exceptionally bad for us. And so it's very interesting having access to something like Silence and Suppress to where you can take those equipment out. Silence and Suppress even better against some of those cards as well, since they have relevant keywords, but still being good against Zolanis and stuff. So
Got me good.
I'm interested, fam. So here, not going to attack. We have a couple things going for us. He's playing Samira Jinx, so he's going to have a lot of ability to just get a super wide board.
No need to make a name
And
for myself. Just an
it's got to be a lot easier for opponent to get 6 units than for us to get 6 units. And so I don't really want to be slamming our units into this board when opponent's going to have the chance to just refill more than we can handle. So I wanted to keep the Fleet Feather Tracker back to block with. If it was going to be able to take a unit down for free, then great. But in this spot to where it's just on blocking duty, not that interesting. So we'll leave it back, and now we're safe to play this kind of slow. We get a lot of blockage coming out of things like Island Navigator and the Mariah Warden. Can look to take down Samira with the Fleet Feather Tracker, but again, I don't want to get too involved after this. I want to just build up board, and then we'll get to a place to where we can ideally champion strength. But right, I don't want to come in here, attack with, even if we just attack with the Mariah Warden and the Poroflies, these aren't good trades for the Zonite Urchins. If opponent's able to come in and
Want to prove yourself? Now's your
refill out
chance.
their width, just discarding a bunch of stuff. So this is fine. Would have been nice to have gotten the Samira off of the board, but he's making this big investment in mana for the turn. Right, he had to spend the 1 mana on the Flare, the 1 mana on the All Out, so it gives us quite a bit of protection in terms of he just can't fill out the board anymore. His attacks kind of suck this turn.
Death is transient. As long as
Now we have to
nobody
decide, do we want to drop this Island Navigator or do we want to save the form up? And I think we just want to save the form up here.
A slight adjustment.
Just getting the Protect onto the Durandi Sculptor in front of the Samira is going to be quite powerful. We'll take some blocks this turn, though. Interesting. Just saying, you can do as you please.
My life or theirs.
I like this. The downside to this is we're gonna overbank some mana. But that's okay. We'll see if he comes in with another card. I just don't want to get in a spot here to where we try and block the Samira, and then he's got an All Out or he has a Mystic Shot, and we've spent all this mana trying to stop her. and we don't get anything effective out of it. Now we can form up, right? And if the all-out comes in to take down the Mirai Warden, sure. You know, he's not really advancing anything in terms of dealing damage to us. Looks good to me. But right, that was good. We got the unit off the board. We got all the damage prevented. It would have been bad in the face of Samira. We would have just lost out on our unit in the process. Scrutinizing Sergeant. Miss Fortune's very interesting if she turns up off of him. Such a good attack into Samira. And then if you're not familiar with the Scrutinizing Sergeant, the unit that he picks comes out first. And so our Petricite Broadwing comes down first. It gets to pick up Challenger. Now we can hook in the Samira and move forward.
Solid and cold.
Is he gonna flip her? Nope. Alright, good stuff. Very, very powerful position that we're in now.
Let's get to work.
Gotta worry a little bit about a Jinx, but don't have to worry about her now either. The thing that I was kind of interested in as this game got itself a little bit further along was if we should have played the Scout and then tried to champion Strength this turn. We didn't stop and think about that too much, but it would have been kind of an interesting spot here. Alright, opponent's doing stuff. What's it gonna be? Mystic Shot. You got it. The Vestayan Disciple is not the Scout unit we immediately want. And then Miss Fortune? Ew. Right. Well, this isn't going to be a champion strength turn. I think we're still in a pretty strong space here. But we're not gonna get the champion strength down. Drawing the Disciple that's going to return itself to hand, and then having Miss Fortune give us the flip spell. It's a little too awkward. But we're still in a pretty commanding position, right? You're right, Bust. It's commanding.
Time for violence.
All right. Get this Disciple down again. Do the card draw thing. The dirty Ionia players got to be out there being like, I can approve of that. Getting the Scout Disciple, getting the 2 attacks in, drawing 2 cards, and getting the unit back on the board. I think I'm right. I think the filthy Ionia players saying, as much as I disapprove of playing these attacky units,
That's why I'm the captain.
having spots like that are pretty sweet. All right, next battle. And the Fizz deck again. So what do we got? Not that strong of an opener. I think this is probably enough to keep with the Mirai Warden and the Miss Fortune. Picked up a 1-drop and a Silence and Suppress though. Looks good. So we'll see. Since we have the Miss Fortune, I'm not wanting to make trades here in the early game. And so as we kind of progress into turn 3, if he has the Siren Song, okay. Like at that point we have to start making trades. But if this is going to be a game to where he doesn't have the Siren Song and then the Miss Fortune just annihilates all of his 1 health units, I want to see if we can't push for that point. Affection of Poro is going to be a monster. There's no Siren Song here.
No prey, no pay.
There it is. That's okay. Interesting if we want to take down the Haunted Husk. I don't think we do with the Silence and Suppress in hand. So let's just go ahead and start sending the units in now. We'll have time to refill the board in the upcoming turns, and then if he does have the lifesteal unit, we're ready with the Silence and Suppress. That's one of the things we'll have to kind of figure out if this is a deck we really want to push forward with, is the sense that and a lot of these matchups, it feels like, okay, this unit's very scary, I have the tool to deal with it, I have to deal with it, but you're also in a lot of spots to where you have to battle up against Zolani, and so it's oftentimes better to kind of go for the long game, in the sense that you just 100% can't beat a Zolani, but you can beat some of this other stuff. So where I'm kind of going with this is I'm uncertain if you really want to be, like, if he does have a
On the other hand,
lifesteal unit for this turn. I don't like it with the board that we have now. I'm pretty certain we don't want to silence and suppress it, but it's a real problem in a lot of these games.
scouting ahead.
I'm gonna form up onto this Quinn. It should have been pretty apparent that we were up to shenanigans. And I'm pretty fine with this outcome, however it goes. If he's got a Hush, if he Telstones into Hush, this is fine. If he has the Pale Cascade, it's not enough to kill our Quinn. And then if we just outright win the combat, then absolutely beautiful. I like it. Fortune getting real close to flipping. Needs one more attack. Siren Song number 2. Alright. We're pretty safe here. Now, a thing to note, we didn't have it come together this game, but you can hit another Misfortune off of the Scrutinizing Sergeant. So if you Sergeant and then Misfortune turns up, you can get 2 Misfortunes on the board, get all of those extra love taps going, and I think that's where we want to go. That's tough. I mean, we have the Champion Strength for next turn. Maybe that's just the easier way to go about it, but if we get the double Misfortune on board and then have the 2 love taps going down, I kind of just want to see it. That's the way to go guns blazing for battles with bust number 420. Am I right? So there we go. I don't think this is the proper play. Fuck. But I think it's a necessary requirement for the guns blazing battles with bust number 420. Getting getting the 2 flipped Misfortunes on the board. There's no denying it. That's the way that things needed to be pursued. The intern wasn't watching our game at Riot, making sure that we making sure that we get the things we need. That's okay though, dude. That's okay. Let's see, we'll drop in a 4 Demacia. If he does have the Zolani, we're ready with the Silence and Suppress, and I think that this should be enough to just get the kills. So he's gonna have a good block onto our Quinn, but the Quinn attack's gonna flip our Misfortune. And so I do want to go ahead and send in the Scout, even though that she's going to fall in this combat. Kind of nasty.
No mercy for heretics.
Kind of nasty. Quinn still kills this unit. She does the 3 damage to it.
Me no recourse.
That's a little more problematic than I gave it credit for. So we're at 6. His hand sucks, but if we go into next turn, we're just going to die. So how bad is this? If we attack with everybody, he's going to be able to block Misfortune with the Solari Soldier, and that one's problematic, but all of these other blocks are good for us, I think. Now, we do know that he doesn't have Zolani in his hand anymore, and so, well, I'm leaning towards attacking with everybody that isn't the Scrutinizing Sergeant and Misfortune. So that forces out at least one block, but his one block is good. But then we get to kill some of these other units, and then we still have our fearsome blocks for next turn. Right, our 4 Demacia is going to fall off after this attack.
The guilty will burn.
Oh, that wouldn't have been lethal. Oh, that was bad. Getting a little lucky with this extra block coming in. I think we've got to bring it. I'm just worried about this overwhelming Dustbringer now. It's going to pick up Fearsome again next turn, but we get to take off the +6/+6 in the Overwhelm. We can at least now block that Dum-Dum with our Plucky Poro. No, I guess not. He's going to pick up Fearsome again, but I think that's okay.
Lunari,
Are we dead?
rise.
I think so. Okay, GG. And so, take that one how you want. The play that game was the Champion's Strength. I think we would have been perfectly fine in that spot had we dropped the Champion's Strength. We still would have been able to battle through the double silence. But you got to take your shot for the Blaze It video, man. 420 swag, Snoop Dogg it, you know. You got to do it. I stand by it. That would have been the highlight reel play for the day. Good stuff. All right, the final battle up against Teemo. We got to hit all of the big offenders today. Feels good. And so with this, I want to hang on to our Broadwing. We definitely want to have the challengers for the early game to try and kill off the opposing Teemos. And so that's the only thing in this matchup that actually gives me any concern is taking a flipped hit from Teemo. And so it's a little unfortunate in this early game. I'm not certain the removal suite that all of these decks are playing, right? It's not awesome just running out your 1 health units and having them get killed, but I think once I get a little bit more familiar with this match, we'll probably just not play the unit there. Add in Broadwing. It's not a good block on the pup. Up a quick attack it to 1 health, and then we don't deal enough damage back for the kill. Now we got to see if we can't find another unit. Not. Okay. Glad to get the pup off the board. Kind of a surprising block there. Alright, something to do. Island Navigator was a perfect draw.
Hear me tell? Start to die.
Who do not doubt.
So I think we just want to completely prevent all the damage this turn. If we can keep our health total high, we're going to be pretty safe. Maybe this, I don't know, this might be one of these spots to where we don't have to prevent like literally every single point of damage. But that's where I usually feel much safer against this deck that doesn't have a ton of problematic things after that.
Always forward.
But here, let's see if we get this trade. I want to play the Scrutinizing Sergeant after this. And so we at least get that unit off of the board. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe we should be building up to the Champion's Strength. Who do we got? There's the Misfortune. It's tempting, though. It's like if we're building up to Champion Strength, do we really want the Misfortune? Would we rather take the Mirai Warden so that we get 2 units on the board? It's tough to pass up on a Misfortune.
Gotta get out of here!
Love ya.
I don't know. We would have had the opportunity to have the closer to 6 units. I'm not certain on the strength of that play we just made.
Mushrooms could talk.
Now we're definitely hurting on this turn. We can get pretty close to lethal next round, right? These champion strengths are going to do a ton of damage,
There they go.
but I think we're definitely about to face down a Sump Monument. Teemo comes in. Ugh,
Planting your mushroom patch.
that's a bit of a disaster.
Reporting
Oh, and he's a zero cost Teemo. Fuck.
armed and ready.
So he can still drop the monument this turn.
Yes.
That's a bummer. Oh, and he just drew it. That was his leftmost card for the round. Well done, Captain. Alright, let's see how many puff caps we can load in. No Karinas. That's a bonus for us.
Would a mushroom help?
Grow free.
Alright, attack number 1 goes through. Curious if he's actually just going to take
My pretty.
22, 24? Oh, that seems like a ton of puff caps. Okay. I definitely feel better with Teemo off of the board.
I did my best.
You did your best, Teemo. So what do we got? He's at 88 puff caps. Ready to time travel it back. Only took 1, that's
I
good.
have something very special planned.
Karina hits for 10. Okay. Maybe. I don't know, he's emoting. Probably aren't winning in the face of emotes. Okay. Sure.
Don't those fools know I own this
That was
city?
fun. And so, I still think I need a little bit more experience with that match. The problem we ran into there was taking the Teemo hit. If we didn't actually take that
Somebody's
Teemo
gonna
hit, we would have
bleed
been in a
for
much better space. But we don't have any like removal spells in our deck, and so I like the space that's in. Right as we come across that dumbass deck, you could see there with our champion strength and having the ability to we hit for like 20 something on that last turn, and then we were primed to hit for another like 60 or 80 damage. You have the opportunities to actually just deal a fuckload of damage, and you can kind of counteract the strength of the Sump Monument. We just can't leave ourselves in a spot to where we're playing a deck that has Mystic Shots in it, and so that's where I kind of like stand with this format right now. As we are approaching the Runeterra Open, I think there's one of 2 strategies that I'm going to be pursuing. We're either going to play triple Siren Song with Reaver's Rose, and so we're going to play the triple Bilgewater thing, and so we'll have the Fizz deck, we'll have a Demacia deck playing Lucian, and then we'll have a third one that just has some way to interact with a Zolani, and so whether or not that's playing Shadow Isles and having Vengeances and Crumbles, or if it's having access to even just like Ionia with elusives and bounce spells, like that's going to be like kind of option number 1, and option number 2 is going to be playing 3 champion strength decks, and so you can play a deck like Scouts, you can play a deck like Garen Bard, and then for the last one, I'm not certain what the third champion strength deck would look like, but I think coming into the Runeterra Open, that's probably the strategy that we're going to pursue. Because as we've kind of seen across all of these games, the champion strength style of deck is exceptionally strong against the Mount Targon Siren Song based decks. We easily dispatched the Evelyn decks. We pretty easily dispatched the Fizz decks, and so while they're not 75% win rate matchups, they're definitely positive in our favor. And then having all of these interactive elements that let us try and attack down Teemos while also being able just to do serious crunches of damage in the face of some monuments, I think it gets us in a spot that we want to be in in the land of best of three as to where I don't want to ban out the Mount Targon Fizz deck, right? That's going to be all over the place. I love having good matchups against it. I don't want to ban out the Sump Monument deck because I just don't think it's very good. Even though we lost to it there, I think that we're able to kind of tune a little bit and be in a better space against it. And then that leaves us in a space to where we can actually ban out the real threats, whether or not that's going to be something like a Nora deck, which is going to be absolutely bonkers strong against us, or if it's a matter of still being able to take out like an Aatrox Vayne or take out a Jax Ornn, like being able to attack those decks that I consider to be A, real decks, and B, strong against us. I think that's kind of the spot where I'm leaning towards in this format. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see as the Runeterra Open comes up, we're taking on some type of strategy down that path to where we're either playing the triple Siren Song and Reaver's Row deck, or we're playing triple Champion Strength. And so we'll see. But as it stands, the Scouts did quite well today. They did quite strong. We had pretty good games across the board. We manhandled a lot of those decks, and this classic strategy still classically strong. And so good stuff, good games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.